Hello silver friends, this is Joli from QuickSilverHair. When I do a consultation, I ask you to send me all of your products and then I meticulously go through each product label and look at all of the ingredients to see if any of the ingredients could be a culprit in causing any discolorations on your beautiful silvers. I realized last week that I had never put this list together in one place. So I data mined my website and picked up all of the references of ingredients that could stain your hair, and I put them all together in this video and the corresponding blog post. If you want to check that out, it'll be in the description box below. At the end of that post will be a simple list that you can download to your phone or print out and use to cross-reference with when you look at your own products or while you're shopping. If you've been struggling with any discolorations on your silver hair, from pink to yellow to brown, and you can't figure out what it is, you've eliminated that it's hard water, you've eliminated that it's sun damage, and you've eliminated that it's heat damage, then this list can help you potentially find any culprits in the ingredients of the products that you use and see if those might be what's causing your issue. There is one caveat I'd like to note here. When you're looking at ingredients lists, the first thing you need to know is that the concentration of the ingredient will be very important to whether or not it's going to stain your hair or not. So when you're looking at a label, know that the first 10 to 15 ingredients are making up probably 70 to 90% of the formula, and the rest are in a much lower concentration. So if you find one of the ingredients that I mentioned and it's at the bottom of the list, you probably don't have to worry about it. Also, if the product is white, clear, or off-white already, and you don't notice any tinge to it, it's possible that when they created the product, they used a colorless version of that ingredient, and it is to not be of concern. Okay, so there's two caveats. Depending on your hair type will make all the difference in whether or not any of these ingredients adhere to your hair. So it's really important that you understand what your hair type is. This is not an all or nothing situation. Some people will have no issues whatsoever with some of these ingredients, and others will find that in fact, that was the culprit, and it was the thing that was causing their hair to discolor. I'm not saying avoid everything on this list. I am saying if you're having an issue, look at the list and see if you can eliminate those things for a little while to see if they were the culprit. A side note on reading labels. One of the most frustrating things for me about reading labels these days is that the print is so very, very small. When I'm out in public, I will grab my phone and I will use the magnifier or the camera and take a picture of the label and zoom in so that I can read the label. When you're at home or even out, you can use your search engine to search for the product and the name. You want to be very specific that you have the exact brand name and the exact product name. Do a search and see if you can find the ingredients online. Sometimes they're listed on the manufacturer's websites. I've found that to be, hit or miss. Some companies do not put those ingredients on their site because they have too many formulation changes from batch to batch, so they don't update that on the product page. But Ulta and Sephora are really good about listing out the product's ingredients, so I would hit there. If they carry that product, you should be able to find the ingredients list. Two primary ingredients that you want to look out for and watch for how they're affecting your hair are sulfates and silicones. Sulfates don't directly stain the hair, but they will dry your hair out because they are pretty stripping and pretty heavy duty cleansers. And over time, your dry hair can start to grab things to it, grab other ingredients, and it will become discolored. Silicones are not evil. They don't need to be avoided at all costs. However, they can be problematic for certain hair types. Some of them build up worse than others over time. They can cause a discoloration to the hair in the way of making it dull and lifeless looking because it can alter light reflection. They can also cause yellowing if they get damaged by heat. So the silicone itself can get damaged by heat if you're not properly removing it. QuickSilver hair mask is a quick way to remove any silicones from your hair and hit reset on your hair. Sulfates commonly used in shampoo. The primary two are laureth sulfate sodium and sodium lauryl sulfate, but these other three, you can find those also in shampoos. Common silicones in hair care products, the ones you would want to use mindfully are ones that actually are shampoo soluble, and that is cetyl methicone, cetyl dimethicone, dimethicone, dimethiconal, sterile dimethicone, and amodimethicone. PEG prefaced dimethicones are usually water soluble, and so those are really relatively safe and don't build up on the hair because you're going to remove them every time you get your hair wet. I would avoid any of the silicones that start with cyclo, mostly because they actually are a problem for environmental issues. They don't wash away cleanly and they end up in our water supply. The next thing to look for is chemical dyes in hair accessories. So basically, give your hair accessories a little bath. Dip them in some water, wash them with a little bit of gentle soap, and look to see if your hair ties, your headbands, your silk scarves, or your pillowcases are bleeding any dye into the water. If they are, try to continue washing it until they stop bleeding dye into the water, or pass them on to a friend that doesn't need to worry about this. If you have leather hairbands or leather hair wraps, you can simply take a very wet white towel and lay them on the inside of the wrap. If the wrap leaves a stain on the towel, you know that if you use that product on your hair when it's wet, or maybe you sweat with it on, maybe you've gone to the gym or something, then it's possible that the leather dye would transfer to your hair. Next up is makeup and sunscreen. Tinted or untinted sunscreen and foundations, especially liquid foundation, can stain your hair. Chemical sunscreens like oxybenzone and avobenzone will stain your hair, and they can react with chlorine and cause yellowing and greenish tints to appear on your hair. Mineral sunscreens like titanium dioxide and zinc oxide won't necessarily stain your hair, but they can cause a buildup around your hairline, especially if you're applying them, to your face and getting to your hairline, and it can look like your hairline is dull or discolored. They won't stain, but you want to make sure you're avoiding your hairline. Next up is home and salon treatments. I will keep saying this until everybody in the way back gets it. Just because you can find it in your kitchen doesn't necessarily mean that it is safe to use on your hair. Vitamin C treatments and Malibu C crystals top the list. Malibu C crystals are not designed to be used on gray hair. There is a warning on the package about it, and if you get the home use ones or your stylist wants to use them in the salon, do not do it. Not only can it cause discoloration, but it can cause damage that dries your hair out. It can mat curly hair. It's really just not worth it. In the description box below, I will list all of the posts that I have on that subject. Hydrogen peroxide and developer does not whiten your hair, and you should not be using it alone. Do-it-yourself mixtures that you find online, concoctions to either remove dye from your hair or to whiten your hair, like baking soda, vitamin C, developer, dandruff shampoo, and dish soap. Mixing any of those ingredients together can seriously alter the pH of your hair, lift the cuticle, and damage it permanently. These ingredients used alone and in moderation might be safe and may not be of major issue, but you want to, err on the side of caution here and use them very carefully and very mindfully, and do not mix them all together. I have seen some severe and serious damage with people having used some concoction that they saw on TikTok where you mixed dandruff shampoo and baking soda and peroxide together to whiten your hair. They simply don't work, so don't do it. Medicated shampoos are next on my list. Unfortunately, this is a pick your battle type situation. They can stain your hair, but you may need them for medical reasons, and you may not be able to avoid that staining, but it is something to be aware of. So minoxidil, Rogaine, salicylic acid, which can turn your hair pink, and tar-based formulas will all stain silver hair. If you can, use a targeted approach to apply the product directly to the area that needs the medication if it's not affecting your entire scalp. If it is affecting your entire scalp, you may have to find a different alternative or know that it is possible these will stain your hair. The next ingredients to watch out for are problematic oils. When I talk about oils, know that a lot of these can be colorless. So if they are in the formula and the product itself is not tinted this color, remember that they can be the colorless versions of those oils. So the oils that you want to avoid are specifically oils that a lot of people use neat. They will just pour this oil directly in their hands and put it on their hair, thinking that it will be good for a conditioning treatment. I will say here, a deep conditioner is far better for that than a oil by itself. But these oils are ones that I have personally seen what they can do to the hair in staining it. So olive oil, avocado oil, hemp oil, and CBD oil all have a greenish hue to them. Black castor oil, mineral oil, and sea buckthorn oil, which has a very pigmented orange tint, will leave your hair orange. Chamomile oil and extract can turn your hair yellow. And perfumes and essential oils, if they are in a high enough concentration, they can stain your hair. Colors to watch out for in products. So there are added dyes in products all the time. I have seen this ranging from shampoo to heat protectant. Finding any kind of added dye to a product always makes me concerned that it could be staining your hair and actually dyeing it. So the first two that you're going to see in toning products, and these are likely safe if the product is made for blonde or silver hair, is FD&C Blue #1 and D&C Violet #2. Both of those are relatively safe to use on silver hair because they will help with toning. The others to avoid are green, orange, red, and yellow. For obvious reasons, they will dye your hair or stain your hair that respective color. So the final category of ingredients are herbal powders, teas, botanicals, and natural dyes. Henna, even the clear version, can turn your hair yellow. Chebe powder will dye silver hair brown. Hibiscus powder, rhubarb powder, chamomile tea will dye silver hair yellow. Vanilla extract, flavoring, or oil, any dark pigmented herbs, sugars and honey, especially with the use of heat tools, and activated charcoal. I want to share a product here with you that proves the point on herbal powders, teas, botanicals, and natural dyes. I had recently purchased a foam that someone had told me about, and I noticed that it had vanilla as one of the descriptors. So when I looked at the ingredients, sure enough, it had vanilla in it, and it also has some sugars in it. So I wanted to show you, the bottle was white, so I couldn't actually see the ingredients, and it was a foam, so when you pumped out the foam looked white, but I poured it out into a clear container, and you can see how very pigmented it is. Now it is a foam, and you're not going to use a whole lot, and you're not going to use it concentrated, but that is something to be mindful of. It's something you want to look out for, is having these herbal extracts and so forth that are often used as natural dyes that can stain your hair. There are so many ingredients in the hair care world. This is absolutely not a complete list by any means, but I wanted you to at least have a starting point. If you're struggling, this is a list you can go through, you can look at your products, and you can see if anything in here has potentially been a culprit in staining your hair. Again, I have made a PDF list that is a simple list that you can save to your phone or print out and cross-reference to your products or the products that you're shopping for, and you will have a simple list to look at. So head over to the corresponding blog post if you would like that simple PDF list. It is at the bottom. The blog post is listed in the description box below. Protecting your gray hair doesn't have to be complicated, but spending a little bit of time investigating this, use this list, look at your products, see if any of these ingredients jump out at you, because they could be the culprit that's been causing a frustrating issue that you have not been able to pinpoint. Eliminate these culprits and see if your silvers return to their brightest and most beautiful. That's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. As always, everything is linked in the description box below. Join my weekly newsletter and sign up for my emails. That's the best way to hear about my new content and stay in touch with me. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. I love chatting with you. That's one of my favorite parts of putting out videos. And while you're down there, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so now, because I would love to see you next time. Until then, shine on.